So welcome everyone to Volume 2. Actually, Volume 2, we haven't done another one. The rest of the world's jealous. The Aussies. We're going to do an Aussies on the block in a couple weeks just to balance things out. We got a good one lined up, but this is Volume 2 of Blockchain Canadians. The first one was such a big hit, and we missed a few people. We didn't get to have them on, and I mean, Canadians are just coming out of the woodwork. I just found another Canadian on an early stream today that grew up like not so far from me. There's just something about Canadians and blockchain that go really well together. So this is our second episode, Nifty Adventures of the Wild West. Most of the people here, have an affinity for NFTs and all that amazing collectible, goodness. So really cool. A couple first-time people to roundtables or guests, so we'll just go through them really quick. Down below, you should know Burst of Energy. He's a regular on the Cryptowriter channel. He's been on our shows and a couple of these roundtables before. Last time I was on a stream with him, I felt kind of bad because he was blowing out all this smoke. I had this like little cigarette, so I updated my vape just because of you. So that's good. Your Atomi Kings is your main project, and we have for the first time on the stream Reed, who is kind of your partner in crime with that project. So welcome, Reed. It's great to have you. Down below Reed, we've got Chris Tuttle, which makes my life easier every single day. You might know her as a big part of the Uplift. If you don't, then you should, because she's definitely a big part of the Uplift, and like been in this game for a really long time, been around the space, and especially involved in NFTs. Floyd, who again is no stranger to this channel or our channel or anything involved with onesies, one of the bigger projects. Childhood friends with some of these people, like work partners with some of these people. It's really great. And back again, I don't know, borderline West Coast. We'll give it to you, right? Terry,
I'm in the north.
Right. Yeah, north of where everything east is for sure. So yeah, Terry Cruz. So welcome everyone. I guess what I want to just give a couple people a chance to like quickly, give their own self introduction, because we haven't had them on Blockchain Canadians yet. So if that's okay with you all, let's start with Reed, because Reed, like this is your first time here. Who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, well, I started off as just an NFT collector in the space. Started off with GBK Series 2, missed the first one, so the Tiger King release, and then kind of just fell in love with the space, and I've been enjoying it ever since. And we had started the Atomi Kings, and it started off just as a small group of friends, and it kind of gradually grew, and now we're working on doing our own collection now, so it's pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, so I guess you hooked up with Burst, and that's kind of what you guys started planning and doing. So that's really cool. Yeah, so welcome to the show, and Chris as well. Like, I'm not sure. I don't think you've ever been on a roundtable before, so maybe you can give your introduction as well.
Yeah. Briefly, I started into crypto in like 2011. I was mining some Bitcoin to try to heat our house with like 6 roommates at the time. So we did that for a little while. Then from then until very recently, I was dedicated to a startup company I co-founded in the biotech space, where we were using RNA interference actually to take out weed plants. So basically you could specifically pick out a weed plant out of a field and just kill that plant and not the rest of the crops. So we sold the company a couple of years back, and I had a couple of year non-compete in biotech. So I thought, hey, let's see what else is going on in the space. I was playing Hearthstone at the time, and during all the Hong Kong protest stuff, the PR that Gods Unchained managed to bring in got me to play Gods Unchained for a little while. So I moved a little crypto around and started buying there. And then, from there got into ETH, won an Axie team, and so started breeding Axies, and, got going on there from very early days. And, when gas got really high for Axies, that's when I moved over to a bunch of other chains, got involved in Wax and Top Shot and a few other things, and found a real good home here at Wax. I love how much blockchain's being used for actual processing of stuff and not just as an inventory management feature over on Wax, and that's something that's really hard on ETH. So, gravitated towards here. I worked with Cogs for a little while and helped them with their tubes projects and with their Cogs on ETH and with their 2ECT bridge token that lets you burn a token on ETH to redeem for basically 30 booster packs. So it's sort of like a booster box on ETH, but it's redeemed on Wax. And then, yeah, moved over to the Uplift, and now I'm technical program manager over here. So, yeah, having a great time.
That's like that's the introduction that everyone should have, but no one's ever heard before. Like,
I know.
I didn't expect Cogs.
I'm like, what? Are you serious?
Yeah, no, that's cool. Are you not with Cogs anymore, Chris?
No, so I'm still an ambassador over with Cogs, but I moved over to the Uplift in March when Red Fox Labs basically spun Cogs off, right, as part of their business model. And so Cogs has a new GM, and they're on Singapore time pretty hard. So for me being on the West Coast, like, it was one thing with Red Fox Labs to get up and have a couple of meetings in the middle of the night and to make it work, but like the switch was pretty intense. I was basically on a full night schedule and it just didn't work. So yeah, a lot easier to move over to somebody that's, you know, located in North America. Plus, like, I really resonate with the spirit of the people with the Uplift, so it's been pretty great. But yeah, I still attend most of the morning Cogs calls, and I love the community there. So
yeah, community's great. I know exactly what you're talking about too. I woke up at 4 a.m. this morning. One of the dogs was sick, and I just happened to check my phone, and there's a message from Ukraine. Terry, if you're there, I need you right away, please. And I'm like, well, luckily I just got up and checked my phone, so I was able to proofread one of the documents that came out today for them.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I mean, being on the West Coast, like, even, you know, the Uplift is sort of in Texas and on the East Coast, and so I'm usually one of the, you know, it's the earliest time for me out of the team often, and, you know, you just got to get up a little bit earlier. You got to plan for it in the crypto space for sure. And I mean, I've always liked that, right? I never really loved the 9 to 5, you know, schedule and found it a little bit constraining, but finding the right hours to sleep is not always easy either.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I've actually been thinking, like, because I'm a bit of a night owl over here, like in Asia, and so I've been thinking, like, you know, at some point I want to maybe move back stateside, but then it's like maybe I should just go like full circle and, like, you know, go West Coast or Central, like, because then, like, maybe I might get up in the morning. But I'm you know, after talking to Reed coming on the show, it's probably going to be the opposite. I'm probably going to stay up later and not go to bed, and so, like,
for sure you will. That's all.
But yeah, so what's going on? Like, again, some of you guys were here on the last roundtable that we did for Blockchain Canadians. Like, what's I guess, you know, Atomi Kings is essentially based in North America. It's based in Canada because you guys are from Canada. Floyd, I can't remember, like, where Wednesdays is based, but I think that's based in Canada as well, is it not?
It's based out of, well, it was founded in Delaware in the United States. That's where the CEO and co-art director are. They're father and son. That's Dante and John Scott. But honestly, now it's we have people everywhere. Like, I'm in Canada. We have a marketing manager in the UK. We have a project manager in India. We have people in Korea. So, you know, we have developers in the States and all over the place. So, I mean, it's good for kind of the time zone thing because we got people covering lots of hours of the day. But kind of the same as what everyone else is touching on. Quite often, I get up in the morning and there's, you know, tons and tons of messages that I've missed from 3-4 in the morning. But that's, you know, that's just kind of something you suck up and you take in stride as part of it. I mean,
so yeah, I'm kind of curious too, like, because coming from a small town in Canada, I know what it can be like. So what happens when you and Reed show up to your high school reunion? You know, as these newly, like, you know, NFT blockchain dudes, like, does everyone, like, look at you like you're crazy, or are they like, well, these guys used to be friends and now they're still friends and now they're doing this thing, like there's two of them, so they must be onto something? Like, how does that work? I think this is fun.
It's funny because Reed and I graduated high school together, and this is actually our 10 years this year, and people are like trying to plan something on Facebook, and I've thought about this question so many times, Jimmy, and I'm like, what am I gonna tell people? Like, hey, like, what do you do for a living? I'm like, I look at NFTs. Well, what are NFTs? Like, well, like, you know, they could be digital artwork or a contract or in a game, or, like, you know, they really have unlimited use cases. So we already have that hurdle of trying to explain to people what an NFT is if they don't have experience. And then it's like, well, what do you do all day? I'm like, Well, I talk to people and have meetings, and I talk about these things, and we formulate plans and we market, and I can imagine how glazed everyone's eyes are going to be once Reed and I try and go and have that conversation with where we're from.
Yeah, a lot of times when I'm talking to people about it, they like still hardly even believe it's real. Like it's like it's hard for them to comprehend because they don't necessarily see the value in it. And then you just try to explain to them to get that that light, that spark. Be like, oh wait, no, that actually could be huge. But even some of my other closest friends, like Floyd, hopped right on board when I had mentioned it to him, and he was just a complete natural. But some of my other friends, like I told them about it, like, oh, I'm making passive earnings and stuff, and they still don't even look at it. It's like, you guys are crazy, man. Like this space is awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, we're still really very much learning how to like reach out and educate people who know nothing, especially nothing in the crypto space. And I don't know about you guys, but I haven't had a lot of conversations with people outside of the space over the last couple of years. So now that there, opportunities are arising again, it's sort of always tricky. And I had that issue with biotech too, right? You sort of assume people know more than they do, right? And even if you know they know nothing, you kind of want to take jumps while you're educating them. And it's a challenge, but it's pretty interesting. I was looking at my Facebook feed and my partner's Facebook feeds, and like none of our friends or any of our friends of friends have posted about NFTs. I think there was one post from a friend's of friend, and we have a fairly big network. So like, I know we're early, but I also know that there's going to be a lot of confused faces every time we start talking. So
yeah, I kind of wanted to ask that as well. Like, you're coming from that, kind of scientific biotech type of field. Like, are any of those people even paying attention to what's happening with NFTs and in the crypto space? They're
not that I've seen. Yeah, so there's actually a ton of people with bio degrees in the crypto space. Lots of people who did bioinformatics work or work for biotech startups in various shapes have found their way into crypto, which is very interesting. But like, I haven't seen like the actual academia take it on yet. A little bit in astronomy, sure. I think there's some stuff happening, but like I'm expecting to see, virtual lab DAOs pop up anytime, research DAOs. There's so much you can do with this. Getting papers that are co-authored, getting a review process going that's NFT based. There's just a ton of stuff. But like right now there's so much low-hanging fruit too that it's hard to specialize first in NFTs and then again in the science community, right? So finding that balance. And a lot of it too is arbitrage, right? Like you have to connect these communities to the places where capital exists, right? And that used to be VC, and now it's there's opportunities to do that through things like NFT offerings, but like the scientists don't have the money. They've been working on grants all the time, and their following tends not to be in a position to buy a bunch of NFTs either. So like getting that ball rolling without like accidentally forcing someone to mint a bunch of things that don't sell is definitely going to be a bit of a balance.
Right. What happens when you put a bunch of scientists in a room and you teach them that they can like self-monetize all their projects with NFTs? Like that, it probably won't happen anytime soon, but there's a possibility of something like that, right?
Yeah, well, and my Twitter feed is such a weird mix of biotech and NFTs, and recently there's been like a science art contest going on where there's a prompt word every day, and so I keep seeing all this art that I think is an NFT project and realize it's just a scientist sharing their drawing, and that's the end of it. And it's just so weird to see these things beside each other. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there was a famous image, because somebody might know, like, I'm permaculturalist, and like there's patterns and cyclical things that happen in nature, and there was a famous image that was like, it was the human brain, the birth of a solar system, and like something to do with like your DNA, and you put these three pictures side by side, and you can't really tell which is which, like if they're taken in the correct order, right? They all kind of systematically connect. So you totally do an NFT line on that. Sorry, I kind of geeked out there, but I was like, so. But like, I'm just thinking, like, what Floyd and Reed said, like I can just see that happening right at the high school reunion. Like, yeah, we're making tons of money. So you guys are in oil. No, like we're doing this the NFT thing. Like Burris, you're in a little bit of a different situation. I think like people wouldn't know this like by looking at you or catching you on one of your crazy rants, but like you're actually looking at like very similar thing to what the Uplift is doing, using this NFT line to empower artists like from like, communities that might not have had a chance. And I'm just kind of curious, like what the reception on that has been so far. Like, do people get it? Like, is it like, the high school reunion type of scenario where they're just like, whatever, like we don't even really get it? Or like, are people actually seeing it like, the ghetto basketball star who's like has it all plotted out to get to the NBA to get himself lifted out of this, because I think that's a real potential possibility as well.
So it's funny, as Facebook, the days go on, I'm getting more and more DMs going, hey, I see you're in NFTs, can you sit me down? And I'm like, I could, but I can't. Like yesterday I was working it's 15 hours in the space yesterday, and I didn't even head over to the market at all. But the community loves it. I'm looking out for people. There's a lot of my potential gains coming in the future where I'm going to be contributing to sort of sponsor smaller teams into specific platforms where they can get their platform on and get some sort of use case. I do want to take my gains, and everybody wants to take their gains and go cash it out for sure. But I see the growth for Wax, man. You've got to keep, building up as many teams as you can, valuable ones, and that's the thing. It's not just the ones with utility that are valuable. There are art projects that are valuable, that do take time to make a proper distribution, a proper mint count, whatever it is. And then, the airdrop tools, all that stuff. There's so many things you can do to make an art project appealing. The thing is, when you just start minting a shit ton of mints, people aren't going to come over to that. But the thing is for art projects, I tell people, plan on building off 50 people, and then if your next drop, you get another 5, then you've got 55 to build off of. And then your next drop, you get another 10. You know what I mean? You can't expect hundreds and thousands of growth every drop, because that's just not possible right now in the wax space. But yeah, I do fight for the little man. I love fighting for the little man. And I guess with that, I'm actually going to give a sneak peek of something we're working on. Nobody's seen this yet, and this isn't a final of the drawing that I'm about to show, but it is close, so I will show you guys. I'm actually pretty stoked.
Is this what you and Poon were talking about the other day?
Yeah. Most of the none of the team has really seen it, so
I think I've seen it.
You have, Floyd. I sent it to you yesterday.
Yeah. Hey.
Oh, hold on.
That's all you get.
Hold on.
Have you seen this screen?
That's pretty much a
Go ahead
Corey
there,
move.
Jimmy.
That's totally a Corey move right there. It's like, hey, something just flashed on the screen.
There we go.
So there you go. This is one of the cards we have done right now. There are going to be some changes that come to it after we had a chat with our artist last night. So this isn't the final, but this is kind of the vibe we're going with, like a cyberpunk style. We actually said cyberpunk Sin City, and then our artist came back with this and said his mind just kept going. And I said, fuck, it looks awesome, so keep rolling with it. So this is the front of the card. And
so Floyd, I think you should refuse to go to the high school reunion unless Reed dresses exactly like that.
Yeah, he needs to start calling himself the chairman too.
So, and this is the back of our card. It's funny that he did that because we've got a little spreadsheet out and we've submitted pictures to the artist. And Reed never submitted a picture, but my wife took one of him at a festival, and I was like, "How did you draw this?" And then we found the picture last night. I'm like, "Oh shit, they look pretty close." So we put 2 and 2 together. So yeah, so this is Atomi Kings 2099, and we are thinking of doing it mid-October, plus minus a week. So yeah, stay tuned. We'll be coming out. Right now, we are running a competition in my room to feature 2 people that are valued community members in the set. Which we will be picking by the end of the week.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, we're pretty stoked.
So the artist is also someone who me and Floyd graduated high school with. So
Go ahead.
There you go.
it's always a web of friends.
I really like the detail. Like the face looks great. Like it's got that really gritty feel to it.
Yeah, I was pretty blown away, to be honest. Like I knew he was super talented, and he showed me this. I was like, that is just awesome, man. So yeah, super stoked.
I'm glad everybody's loving it. The chat's
That's
going
not
on.
just 'cause it's my card.
No, it's cool, and I'm excited to get this going. It's funny because we've been approaching artists, and they're a little intimidated by the space, and it's like I get it. But we pointed him to Atomic Hub, and I said, go look at the horrors. And so he goes and looks at the horrors for a bit, and then he comes back and says, yeah, I've been studying Atomic, and this is kind of what I got. And I'm like, fucking fire, dude. So I'm pretty stoked. to be doing something like that.
Yeah, it's very cool. And like speaking of the horrors as well, like right, like so, you guys are also a few of you are involved with Ultra Rare and all the great things that they're doing, influencers and things like that. Over on that side, like what they've been doing is pretty interesting, right? Like they're porting from that kind of those collections into comic books and stuff like that. Which I think is really cool. We don't necessarily have to talk about it, but I think like the next, bridge personally from, these NFT lines is going to be comic books. I mean, I don't know what else is big in the NFT space. Like there's staking. I know, Terry, you have a bit of an announcement too you can make if you want.
Yeah, well, what announcement's that? No, just kidding. WeCan, Our Planet, they just dropped an announcement, and so what's happening is they're changing the NFT distribution system that when you craft an element. So at first, it was first come, first serve, 600 NFTs. You had to be in the first 600 to get a NFT reward for crafting. So now it's going to be as soon as the invention is made, it starts a 24-hour window, and in that 24 hours, you can craft as many times as you want. Each time you'll get the fungible token of the element that you can use to upgrade your lands or for future element discoveries. And each one of those crafts gives you a raffle ticket, and at the end of the 24 hours, there'll be an automatic raffle, and you can win with each ticket. Each ticket can only win once, but you could win multiple times. So it gives it gives a bigger window. We were just talking about it there in the pre-interview with for like worldwide, right? Because the game is worldwide. There's a lot of people over in Asia and Europe, and it just gives everybody a chance to score one of the NFTs then. And then also to promote that, they have lowered the crafting fee 80%. Down to like I think it's 0.0125 of a wax, and doubled the inventor award. So the inventor award, you get mythical staking value of whatever the element is, and then you get right now it's like I think it's like 2,600 wax. So I mean, at whatever the current value is, that's like $700 or something, close to $1,000 just for playing the game and inventing an element, right? I keep getting my Wax Cloud Wallet pop-up here coming because I'm pre-crafting some elements in the background.
You're doing that right now.
Multitasking.
So I mean, like I think that brings up a really good point, right? Like the untapped potential of being able to hold NFTs and earn rewards. Shout out to Uplift, the Uplift world, by the way, because we basically just released yesterday, I guess less than 12 hours ago almost, a way for Upliftium to be automated, like crystallized and liquefying Upliftium is now automated, which is great. It means you don't have to wait. You have to wait a little bit for the blockchain. So really cool stuff happening there. And I think like when you get down into it, the ability to stake NFTs and basically have that as a DeFi mechanism, and also the ability to craft and play off of these NFTs, like Nifty's doing it now. A lot of these other blockchains are doing it now. Is really interesting. And I could ask a question, but I just kind of want. You don't have to. You can pass the buck to Floyd, and we can ask him what's going on with his project. But Chris, I know this is something that you're really interested in. Like, what do you think, like, the future potential of, like, melding, like, NFTs, collectibles, together with, like, DeFi? Like, what does this mean to you? Because I think it's a really interesting topic.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, it goes back to, like, NFTs have a whole bunch of different potential utilities and all this sort of stuff, but when I think about them compared to, say, traditional collectibles, the key things that come to mind are we've got secondary market commissions, right? So we can, as a company, we can foster secondary market trading between people and get commissions from that without having to worry at all about primary market sales, which is really different from, you think about, say, Magic the Gathering. They're incentivized every year to sell a set and replace and depreciate old stuff in various ways because that's their only revenue channel, right? So figuring out ways to incentivize that market activity is important. And that's where, for us, the miners and the mining pools and being able to change mining pool rates and add new blends is a way that people can try to look through and gamify and find the best Upliftium staking rates for any one moment. But then the other side is the fractionalization, like you guys have been talking about. And this is where, like when we were playing with the 2ECT token with COGS, the idea of having a ERC20 token that can be divvied up as much as you want, but then be redeemed for a bunch of NFTs, in this case packs, that could even be open for more COGS, is something that you just couldn't do in the space. We also had the same token could be openable. You used one of them to produce basically a booster box of 30 booster packs, and you use two of them to create a booster or a box of 30 starter packs. So you can have different products too, which is something that a collectibles company just can't do. Once they've packed it, it's packed, right? Whereas again, like with things like say Nifty blocks and stuff, you can retroactively make any NFT into a pack, open it, and then have a bunch of new stuff that you're giving out to people. You can even have packs that open to produce packs, and this is all very special for the space. Sorry, go ahead, Jimmy.
No, finish. I'm just marking it.
Oh yeah, and then like you say, stakeability and earnability is another side, which is that like Magic the Gathering doesn't know who owns their cards. They know statistically, how many people own cards and what the size of a collection is. But because we can know who owns our stuff, we can, through either staking where you're requiring a certain amount of activity, active rewards like in game where like for the Uplift you own land, but owning the land doesn't really get you much in terms of Upliftium or wax. You have to walk around on your land or get other people onto your land. So they increase the capacity of points, but not the actual points you can get. And so rewarding passive holders, rewarding more active holders, and rewarding people even who are like active on the market and market making are opportunities that we have that these other companies just don't have. And so like I'm not sure exactly what specifics will come out of those things, but like it's phenomenal to watch everybody playing with them.
I want to tilt the ship, and either I'm going to fall overboard or burst is. I'm not really sure which is going to happen first. So let's see which way the ship tilts. But you just made me think about something which is really funny, right? Like you're talking about that, and then my mind was random, and I was thinking about crystallizing and liquefying Upliftium. Then I was thinking about like atomic assets and being able to like put together bundle orders. Now, what happens when somebody figures out a way to like repackage something in their collection and sell a new pack that's like secondhand and used? Like that could be a really interesting scenario, right?
Well, and you see there's some of this happening with various deposit contracts. So like on ETH, if you look at NFT 20 and NFTX and a few of these ones, you can deposit NFTs that are, and you tend to deposit floor NFTs to get a token, and then you can redeem that token to either pick one in some contracts or get a random one back out in other contracts. And so these are started by a third party, like somebody else makes it. It's not like Mooncats that makes the pool. They make the token, and we actually had the same thing just happen to us yesterday. So within an hour after releasing our crystallization process, and to get the terminology right, you crystallize Upliftium to go from in-game to an NFT. You melt it to go from an NFT to in-game Upliftium. But now a Canadian group, Kate, which is a phenomenal, I don't know if you guys are all aware of them, but they're really cool. They put together a deposit contract where you can now liquefy the Upliftium as well. So you send 1 million Upliftium to their contract, and they send you a token called Liftium that they made, but is linked to that contract, and they send you 1 million of it. So now there's an Alcor pool, and people are swapping, fractional amounts or like granular amounts of Upliftium, but they can go through that entire process all the way back up to us. And it's fascinating to see all of this sort of stuff evolve around you, and like we didn't have to be involved in that deposit contract, right? And similarly, people could make a Crane game contract or any sorts of Carnival game contract and use any NFT pools they want as prizes. You saw it happen in Axes with SLP, right? A lot of people now pay rent in SLP. It's become that kind of versatile, but floor NFTs can become very interchangeable the same way.
Yeah, I mean, so like Floyd, for people who might not know, like you got it, you kind of got into it because of gaming. Very similar story to like a lot of people, right? Like, did you ever expect like it to take this hardcore of a turn? Did you ever expect like Chris said, like if people are paying rent in NFTs, people have plans to buy houses in NFTs. Like I have a friend who, invested in Wax, bought a bunch of NFTs, sold them, in Northern Europe, and bought a farm, right? Like he's going sustainable because of this, right? Like this offers like real world change from basically collecting baseball cards and choosing not to put them on your little bicycle rims that make cool sounds, right? Like
I think when I first kind of got into NFTs and started to discover it, I saw the massive potential, and like I could kind of see that everything was there for something huge, but I think at the time I didn't really understand it. But definitely, more recently, I mean, the space moves so fast. I mean, where the wax space was 3 months ago or 6 months ago, where it is now, and the same of anything, same of ETH too. Everything's moving so quickly and developing so quickly. But yeah, if you would have asked me and told me some of these things, 6-9 months ago, I probably could have agreed that it's possible, but wouldn't have thought it would have been this quick. But yeah, it's crazy how many people are, quitting their jobs or going to buy a farm, like you said, or, they have these passive incomes now, or they have these very lucrative NFTs they've been holding for a year that are now really rare because of whatever kind of gamification they have. So it's definitely kind of a little mind blowing. I think I've kind of gotten used to it now, because this is, like everyone here, this is all we do all day, every day. So it kind of becomes natural. But yeah, if you would have said, do I think I would have seen it from the start? Probably not. Not like this. But it's pretty incredible, and grateful every day I'm a part of it. That's for sure.
Somebody needs to spin up an NFT that on the front says "When House" and on the back, like, $500,000. Like when you click it, like, it explodes and says "Now" for the dude who created it, right? Like. But yeah, like, so it's kind of interesting to see, because I think like there's builders on this panel, and then there's like promoters. I would like Burst and Reed are working on the Atomic Kings project. Like Burst kind of got his start as well, like being an advisor and promoter. Terry, you work for like 2 or 3 different projects that we know about. I mean, I'm sure you run a whole like underground conglomerate that we have no idea. So, well, like Floyd as well. Like you're mostly promoting for 1 or 2 projects, right? Like, so I guess like can we go too far? Like is there a place where it's just like in any blockchain, it doesn't necessarily have to be Wax, but like what's the point where we go too far? Like, one of the things that Wax and the whole non-fungible token thing kind of like tried to correct was that like early 90s like comic book baseball card syndrome, where they just printed everything like into the abyss, and like they overprinted everything. Like Image Comics like took a big downfall because of that. Volant Comics, some of these big projects, right? I forget what it was called. It was like something era, like the junk baseball era or something like that. Burst, you remember what was that referred to as? Was it the
What's
junk?
That?
Where they just printed everything into ad infinitum, like all before NFTs, they just printed all these real collectibles. Like in I think like the mid 90s, all collectibles just took a giant dump on the market, because there was just so many of them, and nobody knew how many exist. The junk bond era, the junk comic era, or something like that. Like, is there a place where we can go too far, right? Like there a place where like even the crypto people won't follow us? Like, what's your take?
With the percentage of the space, for sure. Percentage of the space, I agree with that. I don't think like there's going to be a bubble over on ETH, and I think it's going to be a worse bubble, because it's fucking attribute game project. Like that's all it is over there. So a lot of those attribute projects, I think, are going to burst. Not all of them. But I think with Wax, you're a little more safer with the games, but I still think like 30-40% of the games that we see today won't be relevant in 2 years, because, not everybody's going to get it right, man. Not everybody's going to get it right. And there's a little bit of timing, and then there's a little bit of proper distribution, transparency, all that shit can shoot you in the ass. If you don't do any of those, you're fucked. You know what I mean? But if you miss one of those, it could set you back. But then again, I think what a lot of this space has a hard time understanding is like some of these teams will take a step back and put a hold on some of their project, because they don't want it to get out of line, and they're going to have to revamp something and re-nerf something. People anticipate 5,000 players. They don't anticipate 50,000 to 1 million players, and like we could hit that range at some point in time. And I also think what a lot of this space forgets is that a lot of these games are early. And something like a video game marketplace like Xbox, let's say, or PlayStation, where you buy little add-ons and little downloadable content for games and stuff like that, it's doable here within all of those games. Sure, if I wanted to run over to Wax Arena and do a sale in AEXP, it's coming. And then I could just do a sale in AEXP for Wax Arena. let's say we get my weapons on there and I get somebody to design my weapons. That is an Atomi Kings downloadable content only available through AAXP. Lots of stuff like this is going to come within a lot of platforms, and I just think a lot of people do not see that or have the patience for it. I get it. Everybody wants Wen Moon. Everybody wants to be fucking rich tomorrow. I totally understand that. But with the slow market, like the last 2 months that we've had, you got to be extra careful with your stuff, and you got to be very optimistic in this space, man. And just do your research, guys. For sure.
Yeah, I think like you were saying, Burst, like a lot of projects like 30-40% won't succeed, and that's also because of the reasons that you said, but also because they don't realize how much of a time suck it is, right? Like you have to put your life on hold. This becomes your life, right? It's your baby, it's your business, and you got to put it, like, we all know it. We don't even own these projects we work for, and we're in here 24/7,
exactly.
you know, like.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't think a lot of people take that into account.
Well, and this is like, I think we run a real risk of falling down that Kickstarter whole problem, right?
Yeah.
Where, like, again, we can pre-fund projects the same way Kickstarter can on a bunch of promises or demo reels, especially with things like Unity 5. Like it's easy to show what you think you're going to do. And even with the team that's done it a couple of times before, you're always going to have issues with expectations. But, like, Kickstarter got a real bad reputation because of that. And now, like, projects face weird scrutiny, and it can be sometimes really hard to fund projects. I think that can be separate, though, from, like, in our space, too, there's this microclimate of growth in any one moment, and most of these primary sales don't last very long. And I think some projects become really shaped by who was around during that primary sale. Like, I don't think we want to, like, it can be hard to predict for the growth or for that moment. Like if you have a small collection and it sells out in 10 seconds, and then you plan for your next collection to be 10 times the size, but in reality the market has changed between now and then, right? You can really shoot yourself in the foot. Yeah, right? And so, like, that planning is really just hard, and it's something that's special to our space. You normally just don't see that in, like, the collectibles market. Across the board doesn't go up 200x or down 50x. It's usually individual projects.
Well, and I mean, balancing it with your hardcore supporters too is sometimes an issue. Like shout out to Ultra Rare, right? Like, I think they did it really well from the beginning, but by the time they got to the comic book phase of it, right? Like they kind of had such a small group of people who were supporting them that, like, might just not have been able to support them any longer. That's my own personal opinion. But like you know, those guys were grinders, and they did a great job on the art. They did a great job on the promos. Like, on our channel, they were two of my favorite guests of all time, John and Richie. Like, they're always really supportive of the community and stuff. But there gets to a point where if you're not bringing in new people, it can go the other way too, right? Like, so I think it's just we're all in, like, the test phase here, right? And it's really difficult. Sorry, that was my just 2 cents of maybe you know, burning candles of wax, but whatever.
You know what? We were talking a little bit about the bursting bubble too, and you know, I don't think it's for NFTs especially. Like, I don't think it's coming anytime soon. Like, Burst hinted at the fact that, you know, like, in-game attributes and that really hasn't been touched yet, right? Like, you know, for systems like Xbox and PlayStation and that, let alone on PC, but owning your own attributes as NFTs and your own weapons and your own armor, right? We haven't really seen that yet, and that's going to be freaking huge, right? You look at ETH and all the PFP projects that are coming out every day. Yeah, there's lots there, and yeah, lots are garbage, but, like, they're selling out. Like, they're selling out, and people are buying them on the secondary market for, you know, hundreds of ETH. Like, I think there's a lot of room for growth. Chris talked about, you know, that the functionality, like, we haven't really touched on the functionality of NFTs. They can do so much still. And, you know, it's super exciting to be a part of and to see where we're going to go, I think.
So have any of the projects that you guys are working on ever considered pulling a Finny and picking up and adding, you know, the ETH power of momentum into your, basically marketing efforts? Like, I know over at the Uplift, we've always thought about it. potentially adding other worlds that are based on other tokens. But we're in no rush or hurry to do it, because right now, for what we want to do, nothing's really competing with EOSIO technology. But it's a possibility, right? Like, how about the projects that you guys are working with, like Floyd, Terry, Burst? Like, is there a possibility that you would go multi-chain? And I mean, like, what do you think about? Let's let the horse out of the whatever it's. Damn it! God damn it!
Table.
Say it. Let's let the horse out of the
sakes,
stable.
Jimmy. Let's go.
Anyway, Finny, what's your take on Finny? Right, Finny porting. Like, I actually think it's a great move. I think it'll uplift the rest of the EOSIO based Wax Finnies and EOS Finnies. But yeah, like, have any of you ever thought about porting over to other chains, and specifically Ethereum? Why or why not?
I plead the fifth.
Go ahead, boys, because I'm going to be critical as fuck.
Yeah, we've thought about it a bit. Our ultimate goal at Onessus is to be blockchain agnostic and be bridged across multiple blockchains. So that's something we're going to look at down the road. I mean, I'm sure there's many projects looking into ETH right now with, you know, how big the market is and how much volume is being traded. So I'm sure, regardless of what anyone says, their team is probably thinking about possibly doing an ETH project. But yeah, that would be my kind of take on it. We've talked about it, and we want to be cross blockchain eventually down the road.
Yeah, Reed, I want you to go before Burst for sure.
I'm definitely not against the idea. You know, there's just so much trading volume on Ethereum. It's insane. And it's, you know, and it's not necessarily to move to ETH or anything, but it's just to help show people from ETH how amazing Wax is. Cause, like, you know, it's, you know, I stayed away from Ethereum for a long time because of the gas fees, this and that. You know, then I eventually did dive in later, and it's just like, you know, it's just so much better on Wax, and you just wish that they could all see it, you know, so they could come over and see what Wax is. But so yeah, I think it could be a good way to, you know, almost as marketing. But other than that, yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, just before Burst jumps in too, like when Alien Worlds did their like Binance sale and they had the big token interest there, like that did legitimately get a lot more people buying Wax NFTs. It got them over here, but I think it was because they weren't selling NFTs on Binance. They did one thing: they bridged a token that already exists into a new audience, and they were able to advertise to that new audience. And I think that's very powerful. But I'm not sure about, like, especially duplicating drops on ETH of things that you're already doing on Wax, or trying to maintain multiple inventories. I don't know if that's the way yet, you know.
Market's not big enough for that just yet. If you're going to go and take a Wax thing that you're doing over there over to ETH to a T, I don't think Finny's doing that. I think they're doing something a little more unique over there. As far as ETH goes, I support it. I do. But I'm in a disagreement with a few teams in the space. Even though I'm attached to them, I do bat kind of an eye and kind of give the other side of the fence, because a lot of the people I'm talking to, they think it's going to be over 6 months till, you know, Wax starts seeing some healthy organic movement. And I feel like it's in the next 3 months. I think we're going to get some more organic. This is just a forecast. I'm not an advisor. I don't know all the ins and outs. So don't take this and go, he said it's in 3 months. It's going to be 3 months. I don't know. But I'm in a bit of a disagreement with, like, saying it's going to be 3 months, because I don't want to get stuck with a fucking ETH project while I'm trying to build Wax over here, and then say something does become an issue over on ETH, and then you've got a fucking project over there you're fucking stuck with, and you're like, oh shit, I got a project over there. And then if you just leave that stagnant, they're going to come out with their pitchforks over to Wax and just roast the shit out of you. And then you're going to have to take that critical time of building what you're building on Wax and send it back over to ETH. And again, we're going to go back to timing. Timing is everything in this space, and it is tough to hit deadlines, and loading up on another project could be not good long term. Now, if it brings over the masses, if it gets people buying on Wax, fucking A, then everything I just said was wrong. But I don't see that to a T, you know. So
yeah, well, and I see, like, So some of the ETH projects I've been participating in, like you buy the project and then they'll often do accessory drops on Matic, right? And so OpenSea supports ETH and Matic, so you can still see them right there in your OpenSea wallet. It's, you know, has a good feeling around it, but like they're using that other chain for something that, you know, is a smarter use than doing it straight on ETH. And I can see that happening with Wax too. Like they take EVM support right out of Wax. Even what they've got right now is pretty straightforward to code for, pretty straightforward to learn. And I could see a lot of ETH projects having a web app or a game that reads your ETH wallet, but does all of the games work, all the games processing on Wax. And like I think it was Terry was saying, like, also issues you your downloadable content, your additional content as Wax NFTs, so that they're not spending all that ETH volume. And Wax is such a good chain for that, starting for that sort of hybridization. And once people get over, it's a different story for sure, you know.
I just know it's a lot of teams are struggling for timing. I know a lot of teams are struggling for timing, and just picking up another ETH project is a lot of fucking work, you know. So like, and I kudos, you guys pull it off. You guys get the community, you get them over here. Fucking A, I'm all for it. I'm not against it at all. It's just a lot of work, you know, and it's tough staying on top of Wax in my position. And I know more people are eventually getting there, like trying to stay busy and like focus on everything. It's tough.
One thing I'd really like to see is like if there was a way to use my ETH wallet to get exposure to Wax assets better, right? Like they've got the pools for ETH NFTs, but like if I could buy a bunch of like, you know, a package of NFTs for Alien Worlds or Our Planet or something with ETH, know it's there, know it's securified by some sort of smart contract, maybe even gain in the rewards, you know, from that to a certain extent passively. Like it's so much easier for me to spend an ETH than it is to spend the corresponding amount of Wax. It's not even funny.
Fair enough,
right? And getting into that mindset is
Well, and so one thing about like Finny, I don't think they've 100% decided, but what I like what they're doing is it kind of seems like Wax will be like home base for them. Like the EOS Finnies will be burned into the Finny builder that exists on Wax, and probably, you know, in the future they might implement that with ETH as well. So if you want to like use the burnt, don't quote me on this, I don't know, this is just my understanding of it, but if you want to use that, like, you know, builder, you're going to have to do it on Wax. So in that sense, like they might be bringing things over. I don't know. Like
I buy an ETH Finny. Let's be real here. I'm going to get an ETH Finny this weekend. I'm not missing out. But yeah,
right. Right. And I mean, I'm annoyed with EVM stuff in general, just because I'm in EOS, and every EOS, you know, chain, every EOS IO chain is like, oh, we're going to do EVM, we're going to do EVM, and they're all doing it, and nothing has changed. So I just think like somebody needs to give up on EVM when it comes to like NFTs and gaming, and just make something that's like really cross-chain, rather than like we're gonna port it. I'm not like the most technical guy when it comes to this, but it seems like if you can do it, you know, with second layer solutions on Matic and Ethereum, right, then you should be able to port some of these things into a wallet. Now, like my ideas are much grander that probably can't be built that easily. Like I don't see any reason why technically you couldn't just focus on a series and whatever blockchain they happen to be burned into, like a POS type of situation, and released on the other end. But I've been told by people that are much smarter than me that things aren't really that easy. So I'm just gonna have to take their advice for it, right? But like that's kind of what I would like to see. But I mean, I think maybe where this is going is maybe, you know, chain agnostic has a much higher chance of existing in the NFT and gaming spaces than like the bigger crypto market. So I'm kind of hoping at some point that like some of these hurdles that we face in everyday blockchain situations might not be such an issue once, you know, these things start to pick up steam.
Well, and personally, I might separate, like, chain agnosticism is great, and I think it's a good buzzword, and I think it's something that a lot of companies are going to legitimately push for. But, like, personally with NFTs, it's, for me, it's more of like an inventory agnosticism, right? Like, I don't necessarily care where the game logic's taking place, what's happening when I'm playing on my phone, but I don't want to have to keep track of what inventories I can use, what chains that project is on. I don't want to, like, if I'm on Tezos, I want to be able to buy those things on Tezos. I don't want to have to deal with it. And reading a lot of blockchain inventories isn't a huge problem, even for non-D apps, right? Like, you can access a lot of that information. It's just what you do with it after.
Well,
Like,
and
I'm a huge fan of. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, and I was talking to somebody today about this, and nobody's done this yet. Like, what we need is actually like not a wallet, not an what we need is not a wallet, not something that we can interact with, but just like a basic API that we can that we can bring in all of our NFTs like in basically like a viewer, right? You can't interact them. Like when you click on it, maybe it would take you to that wallet that you could interact on it. But like, imagine if you could see all of your Ethereum, all of your Wax, all of your EOS, all of your NFTs from every single chain in a viewer. I mean, that's what's I think going to be a game changer, even if you can't interact with them, right?
Yeah, and more than that, even for a consumer, like it's the developers that need that. We need a Unity plugin, we need a Unreal 5 plugin or whatever that supports reading from every chain as they develop it, and then integrate that right into whatever you're doing, and like that's huge. I mean, I'm a big fan of Cory Doctorow, and he talks a lot about adversarial interoperability and how Web 2 managed to shut all of that sort of thing down, and Web 3 is ripe for this. There's no reason I can't gain the following from another project by using their NFTs better than they are right away. Right? Like there's ways to do that can be very effective in the space and a lot of fun. But yeah, we need some, open source or some pretty cool tools for that.
I just feel like I walked into a space that's way above my league. How are you guys doing?
Morning, sir.
Morning.
What's up, Corey?
Oh, how you doing? Sorry, I missed the rest of it. Got called into a meeting that was supposed to last for half an hour, and that was an hour and a half ago.
So
hey, Terry, you're muted there, buddy.
Who?
What?
I mean, that's how you silence the room. So, Corey, who are you and what do you do?
Oh, shit. Okay.
It's that kind of party, buddy.
Hi, my name's Corey. I'm the founder of the Uplift, and I play some music, and I like NFTs.
Yeah.
And DeFi, but don't tell anyone.
I mean, we've just been, but it's a good job that somebody on our team isn't stumbling over words, and it's not Chris Tuttle. So I'm glad that you're here to help me out. That's good.
So I mean, you guys have been here for a while. What's the good word? Also, burst of energy. How you doing, buddy? I mean, hello to all of you guys. You guys are all like, this is like a
Good, man.
monster panel up in here.
You want to preview what I showed off?
I mean, yes.
There you go.
He threw it up on the screen for 10 seconds and then it disappeared, and I thought we were done, but then he threw it up again.
Grab that shit.
So this is the guy that is directly below you, actually, which is Burst Atomi King's partner.
ReedoTorpedio.
That's right.
So yeah, we're doing the Tommy King's 2099 collection. We told our artist, which I said earlier, it's tough to get artists to come in. So we've been poking this guy for 4 weeks, and we said, go study Atomic. He finally did, and we signed the contract. So he's been studying at Atomic and doing some stuff for us. And so we said Sin City Cyberpunk, and then this is what he came with. And I was like, fuck it, man. So that's the front of the card. That's the back of the card. This is all a bit subject to change. This was all sent to us, said about 90% done. So he's probably going to nerf some borders and add some other stuff to it. But yeah, this is coming mid-October, and there's only 17,000 cards. So it's a very, very, very small set. Yeah. So pretty stoked about that.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we'll be getting that out. We were crunching numbers last night. I think I went to bed at like 2. So yeah, it's cool. Yeah, we're excited to bring something special to the space, and just keep motoring.
Right?
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, we were talking about like being able to create like downloadable content per se in certain games eventually in time, and just be able to use their token to pay for it. You know what I mean? So an example, we have a partnership with Wax Arena. In time, we would talk to our artists to render up, say, a few set of 3 rendered weapons, and they'd be Atomi King weapons, and then we would have a weapon sale on their marketplace for a EXP type thing. That's just one example of, I believe, many things are going to be coming for games in this space in general. So that's kind of what we were talking about, cross-chain, stuff like that, seeing what we thought about how people felt of other projects going over to ETH. Everybody was a warm welcome for that. Me, I just don't want to get stuck with another project over there while I'm balls deep in wax. It's a lot of work here by itself, man. And I can only imagine for you with Uplift. You know,
we built a good team. Otherwise, I would seriously be crying in a corner right now.
exactly. And a lot of teams are having a hard time with
really are
manpower. Manpower is a big tough thing in this space, and it's good
sure.
manpower. Good manpower, you know.
Yeah.
And woman
there's
power.
what's that?
And woman power.
Yeah, it's implied, but yes. I mean, that's clearly. Yeah, if we didn't have Tuttle, I probably would have, my head would have exploded months ago.
She's good.
Yeah.
She's fucking fire. I'm enjoying everything she's saying. It's awesome. I've learned a few things today, so it's awesome.
I mean, if you want the best like reality check about how much people are paying attention, just come and hang out on one of our channels for like, I don't know, a day, because I swear at least once a day, someone just calls, Tuttle. You've all seen how brilliant she is. Out. She's like, hey, what do you know anyway?
She doesn't do that, but she should do that. I would pay money to just stand there and just like, oh, you just like, here comes the whoop ass. I'll just stand back. And just hope she swears once, because it's very rare, but every time it's like,
it's the best time, eh?
Yeah.
You got it out of me a couple of times last week, I think.
No, yeah, where I'm like carpet bombing indiscriminately, just like laser guided fuck bombs. It sounded a little weird, but you get the idea.
It's funny, Burst, you were bringing up video games too, and like one of the things I constantly think about is what is this going to look like when Steam switches to NFTs or when Xbox Live switches to NFTs? Because to me, like video games have always been tokens of some sort, right? Like we either had like a CD key, right, which is like pass aroundable, duplicatable, it's got all the problems of an open token, or we've had like these signed tokens when we buy a game off Steam, right? And Steam would have to authorize us by signing our token for us to give that game to somebody else. But it would take one button press for them to issue those all as NFTs, take a commission off the secondary market, and just see what the hell happens with their game prices. And like at some point, these companies are going to be desperate enough to try.
Exactly, because I think that gaming industries, the big problem is, I use this analogy all the time when I'm talking to people about NFTs, but something like NBA 2K17, let's say I buy the jersey, then I go and buy NBA 2K18 next year. Oh, I have to buy the same fucking jersey again. I can't use it. Like, what the fuck is that? And I think like the NFT space is, making that possible. So if you buy into a game and they have another game on the partnership, there's no reason why your NFT shouldn't be usable over there on that platform in time.
Absolutely, and I think there's a fear of that side of it, though. There's a fear that that's going to cut into their, transactional, microtransaction market every year for these games, but I don't think they're looking at it closely enough. And if they realize that by making these NFTs, they can get secondary market commissions, and if, like, the NBA 2K21 or 22 comes out, and they give a special bonus or a special player for whoever has a jersey from the older games, now you have a burst of trading activity, and they make a ton of money off that, right? They just have to look differently at where they're getting the revenue from in order to succeed there.
Yeah,
Huge money.
Yeah, games. It's just a weird industry right now. They're intimidated by it, but I think they're going to be put on the back burner. You are seeing a few teams come over from Steam. You are seeing a few teams sign a couple backdoor deals. I think Sony signed one with somebody. Was that on Solana? Was it on? I don't know what it was on, but they were signed something last year. So it's coming.
Well, and that's not even to start with play to earn, right? Like, they're all terrified of that sort of concept, too, as it's coming around, because, like, you're literally paying them to play, right? Yeah. And that can be a problem to think about it. But, like, if you look at the current mobile game structure, where you're getting most of your money off a couple of whales, and those whales are buying all these in-game items in order to have a sense of power over a bunch of, minnows or other players who are grinding up through the game and enjoying the game mechanics to a certain extent to get there, there's nothing wrong with paying those minnows. There's nothing wrong with those minnows receiving a portion of what the whales are paying, as long as it doesn't immediately turn them all into whales, right? And so, like, figuring that out too, it's just a hit on the head of a standard business model in order to make it work. But, like, yeah, they haven't started brainstorming the way I think a lot of these new startups have. So
I mean, who would be crazy enough to, like, reward people for time playing some game in a metaverse on the computer? I don't know. I have no idea.
You'd have to be pretty crazy.
Oh, that's the problem. Like, in this space, I am critical on it with as far as the team building goes. So people go to school, they go for degrees, they get a marketing degree, they get a business degree, they get a development degree. I think outside of those degrees, they're pretty useless in the NFT space because nobody's learning about fucking crypto in high school or college. And the people that are being able to build these NFT markets are regular Joes like us. I've got a pipe fitter ticket, but I'm in here understanding it better than somebody who would be a creator in the regular world coming in, you know. And a lot of these teams just don't have the education to do it well. And I think, like you say, with the games, the tokenomics is fucking scary for those teams. They probably look at them and just, you know, roll their eyes and go, I don't know what to fucking do. We're giving them money. That's probably what they look at. We're giving them money.
Oh,
shit.
Believe me, even the people that really love what we're doing that come from that space that are working with us, like you could tell. It's like,
yeah. And they want to control it so fucking much, but really there's a point, like, I get it, you want to control it so much, but you're going to control it so much that you're going to look like dog shit. Don't get me wrong, there's big companies that can do it, but you got Tops, they're over there patting themselves on the fucking back when we made an $8,000 sale on our market. I'm like, guys, you were over on Wax for fucking 12 hours and you made a $90,000 sale and you're over here patting yourself on the back for $8,000. Look what the full control got you, you guys. Nothing. You know what I mean? I'm sure it will come around. They're Tops. They'll make 20 mistakes and finally roll over, and then it'll start rolling in. But really, they would have made a shit ton of more money if they released Inception on fucking Wax. I just really think they wanted that full fucking 10% market fee over there. That's just how pitiful they are. They're like, oh, we're not getting this 10%. Let's go make our own market. Let's get out of here. Like, that's how bad it was.
Totally, and I think these big companies, they're still stuck on the traditional revenue structures and internal structures and hiring structures. Like, if you think of this as a marketing budget spend, right? Like Coca-Cola can't pay everybody instead of putting out ads because those people ultimately have to buy Coke, and so that's just a discount on the Coke. But, like, we can pay people instead of advertising in order to engage in the periphery of our community in a way that's going to have more value, draw more people in that are going to then, you know, spend money for other services. So, like, it's not a zero-sum game. And you just have to think about where to take that money out of as a big company.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it's because they don't know, they're intimidated, and then also they're stuck in this thing where time is money. You know what I mean? And the moment they waste a fucking hour, they think that's $10,000 down the drain, and it's like, old.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring up Doctorow again, but some of his older books, Makers and Down and Out in the Magic Kingdom, are both excellent reads for people in the NFT space. Like Makers, in the way it was talking about 3D printing and early IP economy and iterative design, is just excellent. And then Down and Out in the Magic Kingdom puts this really interesting corporate spin on the whole thing as well that is just like fascinating. And the Down and Out in the Magic Kingdom uses a economy around Woofy, which is like a social credit token that people can basically stake with other people based on their reputation instead of a labor economy, and it's distressingly close to where I think we might wind up. So
could I get your contact information, because I'd love to get those books off you for my wife.
Yeah, no problem.
Probably love to read the shit out of those, because I have her hired as my assistant and she is helping me out so much, and she loves reading and learning about things, and that is probably something she will be all over. So I'd love that. Would. But yeah, I gotta go, guys. I have to do an ultra cast in 25 minutes with John and Richie. Just an ultra rare hangout on Tuesdays. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, no problem at all. Thanks for dropping in. I mean, I think all of us have to go. Before we do go, though, I mean, anyone can drop off at any time, but we haven't actually given Floyd the chance to tell us what's going on in his project, and we were just talking about gaming. I think that would be a good fit. So yeah, if you could give us that update at least before you go, Floyd. But yeah.
See you guys
Later,
Floyd, Reed, Terry, Chris, Corey, Jimmy. Later, Rube.
Yeah, kind of what we got going on. We're obviously HodlGods are still our flagship game. We're working on the PvE side of it. It's already live with the PvP, but probably the biggest news is the staking system that just came out. So all of the HodlGod assets are live for staking right now. And then, we released it kind of as a beta version. There's been some awesome feedback from the community. I just kind of checked in with the development chat this morning, actually, before I came on, and they're starting to push some front end user interface upgrades that some people had suggested that should be out soon. So yeah, it's an awesome time to be around, but like everyone, it is very time consuming, but it's a labor of love more than anything, and I'm excited to kind of show more to the community on the when staking system, and then the PVE, and then we got a whole bunch of other collabs and partnerships that we're trying to manage and get out as well soon. But yeah, that's pretty much in a nutshell everything I'm excited about right this second.
I mean, I have to say, like, the representation on this roundtable, when we look at Wax and, like, you know, NFT projects is pretty stellar. Like, Corey and I have been doing these streams not for that long, but like some of our favorite people back in the early days were, you know, Ultra Rare, HodlGod, you know, so that's some pretty cool stuff. Like Atomi Kings, I guess, Reed, you guys are quite new. I mean, you've only been out there for, I don't know, a couple weeks, or not really that long, right? Like in terms of releasing your own NFTs, you've been partnered and doing other things, but
it's more new that we're bringing it out to the community. Like we've kind of been building a community over time, you know, like because it started out with just, I think, 4 or 5 of us a year ago. You know, we made a Facebook group. I actually named it, and I called it the Atomic Kings, and you know, that name stuck, and then it's been fun to watch it grow slowly. And then we made our public group, and you know, and it's just been growing ever since. So we decided, you know, we love the space, and, you know, we think we got good knowledge of, you know, what it takes to make a good release that, you know, that's valuable for everybody. So, but yeah, no, hopefully it's the first of many. So it's, you know, kind of the start here. So looking forward to what's to come yet.
I mean, I like doing weird shit too, by the way. So like if you guys, God damn it, there's another meme that's going to come back to bite me in the ass. But if you guys are up for it, like, I would just love to have a 5-minute call of you guys, you know, bro hugging at the 10-year high school reunion, surrounded by all the crazy people that are just like, what? You do what for a living? Like, let's put that on the Uploaders channel. That would be hilarious.
Lambo in the background.
Yeah, Corey, you might have missed that, but actually, Reed and Floyd graduated high school together, and they're coming up on their 10-year reunion, and we were talking earlier about like how they explain that to their friends, which is going to be really fun.
Yeah, I don't know how we're going to explain that, but that's okay. We understand it together, and we have lots of other people who understand it within the community and other projects, so we'll get there.
I mean, what I can't wait for is the you know, Blockchain Canadians Crypto Finny reunion, where we just show up at, like, you know, a place that we rent, because that's what we do when we're Canadians. Probably not a place that we rent, probably just some, like, you know, abandoned field. You know, we kick all the high school kids out, and we just show up and we set up a video camera, and we just get crazy with, like, you know, bonfires and NFTs. That's gonna be fun.
Canadian bonfires and beers.
Yep. Check that.
Reed, you guys are gonna do that meme at the high school reunion. You'll be the 2 guys in the corner, and then they'll all be dancing and partying. You'll be like, they don't know how much we have in NFT.
Sat there on our laptops.
Yeah.
Look what I just scooped on Atomic.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, I don't know, like, we have transversed that in a sense, but like, I'm getting myself in trouble here. But like, it you know, do you remember like back in the day when you had like Revenge of the Nerds, these like social stigmas, right? And now like we've moved into this, now we've moved into this kind of like space where, I mean, everyone wears black and tries to look like Steve Jobs if you're in the tech world, right? But now we have these like people who are in the NFT space, who are in the blockchain space, that like are kind of back to that, like, you know, I mean, if I saw Terry walking down the street, I wouldn't be like, hey, dude, how many NFTs do you have? That's like, I wouldn't think about that. But like now I might actually, like, you know,
like,
if I was in Canada.
Dime bag?
Right?
I think it's like a friend gate for me now. Like, if you don't have NFTs, like,
How much can we really talk about?
like, right? Yeah, no, yeah. Actually, a buddy of mine yesterday, my first drummer ever, and he doesn't have any NFTs, but I'm going to solve that. So we can continue to be friends. But he's talking about, he just got a grant. He lives in Montreal to start like a brick and mortar record store. And like, if like you need to hook up with us, you need to hook up with Yoshi, and we need to get you into NFTs so that we can position you in front of the future. Like you can have like one of the first brick and mortar stores that, you know, obviously you're gonna have vinyl, you're gonna have some different shit. You can have NFTs, so you can actually, hold on, let me check my notes. Make money.
Well, I mean, like,
He's excited though, because he got out like, "Is this real?" And then, you know, I showed him my little stack of wax. He's like, "What the?"
Well, and like friends is one thing too, right? But like Burst pointed this out before he left, right? He said like right now, his his missus basically is working with him hand in hand to do like promotions and stuff. You know, some of our other guests, like one of the biggest block producers in Australia, like they started it as a family business, husband and wife. Like Corey, I know, like recently, you know, you and your missus, like you're looking at doing some stuff in the NFTs, right? Like you guys have your morning coffee around like what's happening in the Uplift. That's kind of new. It never used to happen that way, right? Like,
well, she's like, it's only been the last couple of months where she's not like, crypto, just don't ask me that. I'm not even doing it. And I finally, like a couple weeks ago, got her into the Uplift. We actually set, you know, in our little living room over there, my old computer, with a little, joystick, because she can't, like, her playing video games, like, it's a big joke in our house. So we used to play Skyrim together, and like she literally wants to look in walls by like rubbing her face along the wall the whole time, just in case she misses something, right? So she's not very good at video games. But we were in there for a little bit, and just the kind of the travel out to get to a plot, because we were on a rail plot out at the edge of Genesis or whatever, and we just like could do whatever we want, right? And so we just spent some time, and she's like looking through all the stuff, and we built like a little gratitude monument out there. And within like 2 hours, she's like, "Hey, we could put pictures up, right?" I'm like, "Yep." "Hey, let's put pictures up of like our dogs and stuff." I'm like, "Whatever you want to do, guys. This is freaking fantastic. Let's rock and roll." 2 hours after that, she's like, "Wait a minute, why don't we start an NFT line and put pictures up of that?" I'm like, "Now you're in." Ticket right there. It's amazing.
Yeah,
really
yeah.
amazing.
So I'm kind of curious for others like Reed, Floyd, like Chris. Like, is this something that you guys can have like your loved ones be part of? Like, is this becoming a family affair type of thing, or they're just not there yet? Like for me, just not there yet, right? Like I showed a picture of this guy. I think he was on Ethereum. He sold an NFT line. He made like 400 grand. And I showed that to my missus, and like she's like, "But my art's better than that." And I'm like, right, like I know, like, but she still hasn't made that click jump. And I mean, I know she's got like crazy kids running around in her life, and I'm one of them. Off playing video games and looking at NFTs. But like, how about you guys? Like, is this something that like you can engage with willingly? With your partner's kind of consent, or like is this like when we're together we don't talk about NFTs, we just do our own thing, because I think both are productive and healthy. Yeah,
I'll jump in because then I got to run after, but just both my partners are super excited. I got them sort of into the crypto side of things, but Cybercom's now, like, he's deployed tokens with me, he's been doing other NFT minting projects for people, he's having a great time on it. And my other partner has Ledger and runs a Gala Games node and has been paying a lot of attention to Audius and a few other projects. So it's totally awesome. A thing that happens here in the house. But really nice seeing you guys and meeting you all, and talk to you soon.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I gotta eat. I'm freaking dying over here.
Okay.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Yeah, later,
Bye.
Corey.
See you, Corey.
I got my dad into NFTs pretty heavy. He's got the addiction too. Just so it's fun to talk about with him.
I think I think I heard this story in private, and like that, like you didn't just get him into NFTs. Like he came in like with a vengeance and like took out Bruce Willis.
Yeah. Well, like he's really business minded. Like he used to have his own business that he sold, a few years ago. And so when I first had been like talking about it, like it was like with Cogs packs, and I'm like, "Oh, I bought this pack for $25 and it's worth $200 now," or whatever. He's like, "Oh, I gotta get into that," or whatever. And so he bought a bunch of wax, and then then it was Alien Worlds land. I was like, "Oh, I own these lands and I'm making like $100 a week," and he's like, "That's like having $100,000 in the bank, and earning interest." And then it was before Binance when he just went in on Alien Worlds land, and still he just goes crazy. Like he just bought a ton of stuff on Farmers World now, and it's fun to see though that we both have this passion now for NFTs, and and we can work together and, talk about what's good and what's not, and, put strategies together. So, but it's, changed both of our lives for the better, for sure. I quit my job back in April, and, my mom was able to quit her job now too. So, we're all in on NFTs now.
Nice. Yeah. And it's interesting. Like I kind of have the opposite side. My parents came to visit me over here in Asia, and we were having a conversation, and they're like, "Are you sure you're okay?" And I'm like, "Well, I mean, I just put some money into Bitcoin. Like, it's not a big deal." And it's sad but liberating at the same time when your dad calls you up and like asks you for financial advice, because COVID's hit the fan and Bitcoin's gone through the roof. And then you're just kind of like, okay, well, whatever you do, don't do anything now, right? Like, because like nobody knows what's going to happen with the market. And it's like, yeah, I should have listened to you. I should have bought Bitcoin when it was like, $3,000. And it's like, it's funny because it makes me smile because that wasn't even close to the low. This is what people are like. This is what people are looking at, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like you can't blame them, right? Like now they're kind of looking into it and things like that. But yeah, how about you, Floyd? Like, are you solo? Like Terry left. Like, I'm kind of sad, but he knew this joke was coming. That's why he left. Like, he just wanders around in the forest with his 2 dogs and like rants about NFTs to them. So like, but like seriously, like I think like it's weird. Like Corey said, like, Burst said, it's hard to talk to people. I mean, I'm on the verge of quitting my real-time jobs, not because I hate them. I actually don't mind what I do, but because I have no one to talk to. And it's like, going back to like what Burst was saying, like our whole perspective of economy and how it works is this like Keynesian economic system, right? Whether you're a top-down approach, like trickle-down approach, or like build it up from the bottom approach, you're screwed either way, because it's all based on this old school mentality of like work for your retirement, right? Like put the money aside, we will give it back. And it's all broken now, right? Yeah. And so like, I think like it's really difficult as an economics, like because I'm a qualified economics teacher and stuff like that, right? Like as an economics teacher to teach people economics from a textbook that like I should probably just use as a fire starter, because like the meat that was boiled out of that, out of those pages would be so much better, because none of it makes sense anymore. The minute that you kind of stumble into this, and I think this is the amazing, empowering thing with me, when family members and friends figure out like what Corey was saying before, like this, like you're actually getting money from this, right? And like, your father being able to get your mom to quit her job, right? Like Burst with the things that he's doing. I think Tuttle's probably in the point where she's like completely independent. Like Corey and I, like we're not, necessarily we're more working for the company. We're not really paying attention. But I think everyone in this space is working for companies, but we're all still playing around with like markets on the side. Even if we're bad at it, like I probably play around with markets on the side the least of anyone, just because I'm really fucking bad at it, and I don't want to lose any of my money, right? But like, yeah, Floyd, how about you? Sorry, I keep you're such a calm, quiet, patient Canadian, and I respect you for that. But just speak up, man.
No, it's yeah, I mean, like I tried getting my fiance like into wax at one point and got her to kind of like sign up for a Wax Cult wallet, and I was even like sending her some of my NFTs that she thought were cool, like just trying to get this going. It lasted about 3 days, and then now I just have an extra Wax account that I never use. And then I got some parents, like my mom and dad, are like trying to buy some like tokens and some crypto, and it's like it's a struggle trying to get them on board. But all I can be is supportive to friends and family.
Well, it's hard. Yeah. It's like it's kind of like taking on a full-time job. Like on our earlier stream tonight, we were talking about just the scams in Discord, and like, M Blue and I, like, and the team that we were building Uplift Nation around way back in the day, right? Like we were applying for grants from like Dan Larmer and Block One, and we spent a couple of weeks like putting together a pitch deck, going through the whole process. Until a point where M Blue mailed us back and he said, yeah, we're not getting a grant. And we were like, well, what do you mean we're not getting the grant? He's like, well, we figured out that it wasn't the real Dan Larmer, right? Like he was a scammer. Like he wanted $5,000 to like even look at our case, and that rang bells. But people who aren't technologically inept, who aren't technologically apt, like it causes problems, right? And so like for me to get my parents into NFTs, like that's another full-time job for me, right? Like I've got to be like you know. So but on your case with your missus, two of my favorite people that I've met in the blockchain and crypto space, they're actually documentary filmmakers. They came into crypto, you know, having met doing that, and we had them on our channel earlier. But the guy, he bought his wife a Bitmon's engagement ring, which I think now they've ported over to EOS. So it's like basically a crystallized diamond on a watch. So I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, had you have given her that, she might not be your fiance anymore, and she might be like full in on NFTs. We don't know. It's an experiment for an ulterior reality, really. But
or I'd be single. One of
yeah, exactly, right. So, yeah, I mean, no, Jacob, Marxist political economy still works. And the reason that Marxist political economy works is because it points out to a T pretty much every single flaw in capitalism.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say that capitalism can't rectify and fix itself. But yeah, like we're in bullshit territory. But thanks, guys. And honestly, like I would love to have you guys back, you know, for exclusives on your project. I mean, Floyd, you know how much we love you. Please come by and hang out with me and Corey anytime. Reed, it's nice to see the opposite side of the Atomi King. So if you ever want to, you know, talk about listing on Ethereum without prejudice, come hang out with us. Like we'll entertain those ideas. We won't tell Burst the stream is happening. It's all right. But yeah, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Yeah. Thank you too, Jimmy. It was a pleasure. I had a lot of fun as always.
Yeah, you bet.
So until next time.
All right. Take
Later,
care,
guys.
Yeah.
See you guys.